And good morning. You're listening to the Home Improvement Hour with Dick Ray, the Master Plumber, and that would be me. I'm here every Sunday from 11 to noon on KMBZ. We try and teach some things about your home, teach you how some of the mechanical systems work. So if nothing else, you have a little bit less of a helpless feeling when something breaks. Maybe have a better understanding of how some of that stuff works, whether you intend to work on it yourself or not. And of course, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, a lot of do-it-yourselfers listen to the show and ask questions because they know that I do what we talk about on this show every day for a living, and I am certainly more than willing to pass on information that I've learned over a whole lot of years doing this to help your do-it-yourself project go more quickly, be a better job. I've learned a lot of tips over the years. Actually, I learned a lot of the stuff I know from my dad. My dad actually started our business back actually the same year I was born, which was a long time ago. Anyway, I learned a lot from my dad, and I've learned a lot from other people since then too. And if you are a do-it-yourselfer and looking for advice on how to make it a really good job and maybe save a little time in the process, glad to help you out. At any rate, this weather. You can't complain about the weather today. I love the fall, and as you know, I don't know if you know this or not, but I spend most of my time in the office in our business anymore. I don't get out that much and actually work in people's homes and businesses not like I used to anyway. But the one exception to that rule is that when we get a job where we're going to dig with our backhoe, then I get to get out of the office and I'm our backhoe operator. And this last week we had a couple of jobs. One of them took a couple of days, and the other one took a day. So I got to be out in this wonderful fall weather 3 days last week, and that's a good thing. I like that. At any rate, I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines. I had something that I thought would be of interest to you to talk about. I'm going to cover that first, but if you want to get an open line, now's the time to get in. As soon as I talk about this one little thing I wanted to talk about, we're going to get to the phones. If you'd like to be sure that you get a spot in the queue, now is the time to call. The phone lines are now open. If you call now, you're guaranteed to get in. So if you've got a question about something going on at your house, or a question about a product or really about anything home improvement wise, now is a good time to get in. We've got lots of open lines. And our number, if you'd like to join us, is 576-7798. So give us a holler, 576-7798, guaranteed to get an open line right now. Now, I wanted to talk about something this morning that I think you will find interesting. And you've heard me talk about sewer cameras and that kind of stuff, and digging with our backhoe and sewer repairs and all that. And on the surface, that's what this story is about. But there is a much greater lesson to be learned from this story. And anyway, I do a lot of sewer work in my business, from routine drain cleaning to repairs of problem sewers. There are a lot of plumbers that do repair work, but there aren't a whole lot of them that, like me, own a backhoe. And so most plumbers either don't do backhoe type sewer work, or if they do, they have to hire somebody, a subcontractor, to dig it up. And of course that takes time. And anyway, we do a lot of work in my business, from routine drain cleaning to repairs of problem sewers. Repairs of problem sewers, where we make an inspection of the interior of the sewer with our sewer camera, and then a lot of the time after we run the sewer camera, we end up digging up the sewer after the camera inspection. Well, you might think that sewer cleaning and sewer repair is kind of a mindless, simple job where you don't have to be very smart to do it. But that is far from the truth. Actually, Quite the opposite, actually. And after you hear this story that I'm about ready to tell, you'll have a greater appreciation for the skills involved in this. It's not as simple as you just running a cable down the line. Far from it. Anyway, I'm going to tell you the story now of a sewer job that we did. This was several weeks ago. And this is a job where two other plumbers had basically given up on determining what the problem was with this problem sewer, which was at this point getting plugged up about every 2 weeks. The building owner had to pay somebody to come out and open the sewer about every couple of weeks. And I'm going to tell you the story of how we determined what the problem was, where it was, and then how we fixed it when two other plumbers couldn't get the job done. And this was a commercial building in the Shawnee area, and the building owner came to my office one day very, very frustrated and not knowing what to do. The sewer in this building was getting plugged up about once every 2 weeks, like I said, and the drain cleaning bills were killing her, not to mention, angry tenants probably because of the sewer being plugged up all the time. Two other plumbers had cleaned the sewer in the last few weeks, and both had tried unsuccessfully to determine where the problem was. And one of them had actually done the proper thing and had run a sewer inspection camera into the underground pipe to view the inside of the pipe to determine what the problem was so that it could be dug up and repaired. And this other plumber had run his camera down the toilet drain after temporarily removing the toilet, which is correct procedure. But after the camera passed through several elbows in the pipe, he was no longer able to push the camera into the line, and he'd not yet gotten to the problem area in the line, so he hadn't seen the problem yet. He couldn't get the camera in far enough because of the elbows that he had to push the cable around. And at that point, he just gave up and told the building owner that the problem in the sewer had to be out back under the asphalt parking lot somewhere, which was going to make it very expensive to repair. He estimated probably $20,000 or in that ballpark. And he thought that it would be wiser for the building owner to just keep cleaning the sewer with a cable when it got plugged every couple of weeks. Now, at this point, I'm listening to this story this building owner was telling me in my office, and I'm thinking to myself, boy, that doesn't sound like very good advice to me. Clean a sewer every 2 weeks forever? I mean, that's hardly a good solution. At every 2 weeks, that sewer would have to be cleaned about 25 times a year, ignoring the terrible inconvenience that was going to, that was just going to be a lot of money. And after a few years, $20,000 to repair the sewer was going to look pretty cheap compared to the cost of the drain cleaning bills, and not to mention the angry tenants that probably, they'd be moving out. I would. Well, anyway, I assured the building owner that day that there had to be a better solution than that recommended by my competitor, and I didn't know what the solution would turn out to be at that point, but I recommended that the first thing we'd do would be to try again running a sewer camera into the line. Now, finding a problem with a sewer camera and then locating exactly where to dig using the radio transmitter that is attached to the sewer camera would be so much better than just going out behind her building and tearing up her nice new asphalt parking lot, searching for the sewer, kind of doing exploratory surgery with the backhoe to find the problem and fix it. That, of course, would be very expensive and a messy proposition, especially because of the asphalt parking lot. There'd be a lot of asphalt parking lot torn up searching for the sewer. Well, anyway, my plumber Dan is a guy who got sent out on that job a few weeks ago, and like the other plumber, first thing he did was pull the toilet to run the sewer camera into the sewer line from that location. And exactly like the other plumber, he was unable to push the camera past all of the elbows in the pipe to get to the problem area. So he hadn't found the problem yet at that point. But unlike the other plumber, who at that point had just given up, Dan decided to try something else. Dan discovered there was another sewer cleanout opening in the floor towards the back of the building, which would also get the camera into the sewer and would eliminate about 3 90-degree turns in the sewer that he had had to push the camera through when he was going through the toilet drain. The camera wouldn't have to go past those 3 elbows anymore by using the clean out on the floor, and hopefully that would let Dan push the camera on out, see the problem, and locate it. Well, long story short, good news. Because of not having to pass through those 3 extra elbows, Dan was able to get the sewer camera to go through the sewer and outside the back of the building, through the sewer, headed out towards the city main sewer. Well, once the camera got outside of the building and into the building sewer leading to the city's main sewer, it was clear sailing after that, no more elbows. And Dan was able to push the camera into the sewer easily, right up to the point where the problem was. And at that point, Dan wasn't able to push the camera into the sewer any further as the camera showed broken shards of pipe and the camera went underwater. And of course, when the camera goes underwater, that meant standing water in a broken sewer at that point as well. Not good. And yet it was good, because Dan was now looking exactly at the problem in the sewer on his video monitor, and he knew exactly what the problem was. He'd already accomplished what 2 other plumbers had failed at. And I'm going to give Dan kudos for that. One thing that Dan really has got that a lot of people don't is just stick to it. He doesn't give up on stuff easy. He doesn't give up at all. He gets the job done. Well, anyway, more good news was that it looked like the problem was not going to be under the parking lot at all. Hooray. Maybe not have to tear up the asphalt parking lot. It was going to be close, but it looked like the sewer problem was under a very narrow strip of dirt between 2 sections of the parking lot, which would let us dig with our backhoe without damage to the pavement. And you see, here's what happened. When Dan saw the pieces of broken sewer and standing water with the sewer camera, that was good, but he still needed to know where to dig to fix the problem. Well, the sewer camera has a radio transmitter attached to it, and using that, Dan was able to go outside the building with his pipe locator, which received the signal from the transmitter on the camera, and he was able to pinpoint the area to dig. And again, it appeared that all the digging was going to be in dirt, not under the asphalt parking lot. Boy, that was good news for the building owner, believe me. Well, there were complications. Nothing like the asphalt parking lot, but there were 3 30-foot tall pine trees growing right on top of where we were going to be digging. So we had to remove those trees carefully, taking care not to damage the overhead phone and power lines that passed right through the branches of the trees. I tell you what. Another complication was that when we called to get underground utilities located and marked, which we always do that to keep from damaging underground utility lines in the vicinity of our digging. Well, when we called for the utility locations, we discovered that the sewer we needed to dig up was right between the underground gas line to the building and a buried phone line. And this phone line was a main distribution phone cable. I mean, we would be digging very close to both lines, so we'd have to be extra careful to avoid damaging either line. Well, anyway, long story short, we dug very carefully with the backhoe and by hand and discovered that when the underground phone line was installed, listen to this, when the underground phone line was installed, probably by a directional boring machine, the boring machine had bored right through our sewer, breaking the sewer line and placing the phone cable at a point where part of it was actually inside of the sewer pipe to this building. Now, actually, that was great news for the building owner, because it meant that the large phone company which owned the line would almost surely end up reimbursing the building owner for the cost of the job, because it was their boring that caused the damage to the sewer and caused all these problems that this owner had been having. So that's really good news on a job like this. Well, anyway, we documented what we had found with pictures, which I emailed to the phone company to help the building owner get reimbursed for expenses. We replaced the damaged section of pipe, bedded the pipe in gravel to prevent future problems, and backfilled our ditch and cleaned up the mess. And the moral of this story is that not all plumbers are created equal. And of course, that applies to not just plumbers, electricians, computer repair people, everybody. My plumber Dan did what two plumbers before him had failed at. And as a result, a serious, expensive problem was fixed permanently. Now, I don't know if the other plumbers were just not as smart or were inexperienced or just too lazy to look for the solution because it wasn't easy to find. But the bottom line is Dan was responsible for finding the problem two others had failed at. It makes me proud to have somebody like Dan working for me. Anyway, it does make a difference who you hire to do a job. You knew that anyway. Any job, not just sewer work, but any work. Well, anyway, that's about it. The phone lines are now, looks like the lines are all lit up, so I'll skip that part. If you have any questions about sewer problems or drain cleaning or sewer cameras or pipe locators, give me a call. Or, of course, if you have questions about really anything else, call me. Or if you have a question about something else mechanical in your home, or if you've got a do-it-yourself project you'd like to have a little bit of help with, I'll be glad to talk about that too. You're going to have to, all the lines are lit up now, so you'll have to wait till a caller drops off. And of course, keep in mind that I do the things that we talk about on this show, and I do them every day for a living, and that would include fixing and replacing broken air conditioners and furnaces and heat pumps and plumbing repairs and sewer repairs, as well as complete kitchen and bath remodeling also. So if I can pass on any information to you that'll help, I'm more than glad to do it. Our phone number, and again, you're going to have to wait till somebody drops off the line. You'll get a busy signal right now. But our phone number, as soon as somebody drops off the line, is 576-7798. We're going to take a short break, and we will be right back. And we're back. You're listening to the Home Improvement Hour with Dick Ray, the Master Plumber. That's me, and I'm here every Sunday from 11 to noon. Gorgeous day out there. I've got work to do outside today, and I'm looking forward to it. It is so nice out there. And with that, I'm going to shut up. We're going to get to the phone lines here and see if we can answer some questions. We'll start with Jeff. Hi, Jeff. What can I do for you?
Second story shower that when I turn it on, there's a large burst of sewer gas that comes up. I've snaked the line, ran about 10 feet of snake, probably 10 to 12 feet of just snaking it. I've cleaned real thoroughly, but man, every morning it's just kind of a burst of sewer gas, and I was wondering what's going on. It's a second story. I've lived in the home for 10 years, and it just came on the last 90 days.
And it doesn't make the smell through the day. It's just when you turn the shower on that it starts smelling?
Yeah,
wow.
Just when the water's running, about the first minute of your shower, you go, oh, you're just overcome with a sewer gas smell.
Wow. Now, that's the unusual part. Usually a sewer gas odor is caused by a dry trap, and when the trap is dry, you should smell that all day long. Now, you aren't, obviously. Here's something that I guess there's two things that can cause a sewer odor like that. One is something that is making the trap lose its water. And this is a shower that you use every morning, it sounds like. It's not one that's not one where lack of use is letting the trap dry out and the water in the trap evaporates and you get a sewer odor because of evaporation of the water in the trap. There is another thing, and this is an easy thing to fix. This is something you can do yourself. The standing water in the trap, underneath the shower, there's a gooseneck, just exactly like the gooseneck or trap underneath your kitchen sink or lavatory. You can see those two because they're visible. But there's another one right underneath the shower and every plumbing fixture in the house for that matter. And the water standing in the trap protects you from sewer gas odor that's in the sewer downstream of the trap coming back up into the shower. Well, as long as there's water in the trap, you're protected. Now, the thing you're not protected from is a buildup of slime and scum that is in the pipe between the floor of the shower and the standing water in the trap. In other words, that tailpiece pipe, which is generally less than a foot long, can build up a slime of soap scum and stuff that just smells like hell. And if that's what the problem is, that's something that's pretty easy to fix. You need to pry the grating or cover off of the drain in the shower, look down in there with a flashlight, and you'll see the standing water in the trap. And you'll see this pipe that is maybe a foot long or so. It's perfectly vertical. And take a mixture of Lysol and water or Clorox and water or some disinfectant like that. And then a stiff brush. And what you're going to do is scrub the sides of that pipe to get the slime and scum and that kind of stuff off of it. Yeah, ideally, you would find a brush that had an inside that had a diameter the same as the diameter of the pipe or something that would go down in that shower pipe. That pipe is 2-inch inside diameter. If you had one big brush that would completely fill the pipe and just run it up and down and scrub the pipe and disinfect, and then flush it out with water, a lot of times that'll cure the problem just amazingly.
So probably it needs to have a flexible handle on it to be able to go through the...
It doesn't need to go through the trap. You don't care about what's downstream of the trap. You won't be able to push the brush through the trap because it's... the trap's too tight of a turn, but you're not worried about that. The water standing in the trap will take care of protecting you from the odor of what's downstream of the trap. It's that 1 foot of vertical pipe that is upstream of the trap that you're trying to clean.
Okay, I'll just blame this on my wife then.
You think that'll work?
It's my wife's fault.
Yeah,
okay,
it sounds like okay.
All right.
Oh, I like that. It sounds like a solution call that may end in divorce there. Oh, golly. Hey, that opens the line. If you'd like to join us, our number is 576-7798. It's time to break for the news. We got one open line. After we get back from the news, we're going to get right back to the phones. If you'd like to join us, grab that open line at 576-7798. You're listening to the Home Improvement Hour with Dick Ray, the Master Plumber. We'll be right back after the news.
.30 in Kansas City from the KMBZ Newsroom. I'm Rob Ladd. The families of people killed in the September 11th attacks have been invited to military installations in 4 states to watch pretrial hearings for 5 men charged with planning or assisting the terrorist strike. The hearings are scheduled to begin tomorrow in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Those on trial include Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the self-professed mastermind of the September 11 attacks. Some local football news. NFL insider for CBS Jason La Canfora is reporting that Chiefs GM Scott Pioli has been offered a contract extension. Details about the deal are still unknown, and La Canfora says Pioli hasn't yet inked the contract. Now your forecast from staff meteorologist Sally Russell.
Only a very, very slim chance of a morning shower. Otherwise, some sunshine for most of us. A high temperature late day right around the upper 60s. Stronger northwesterly winds could be anywhere from 15 up to about 25 miles per hour. Clear and dropping down into the upper 40s later on tonight. Tomorrow, some sunshine, a high right around 75. And Tuesday, bright blue sky, lots of sunshine. A high returning to the upper 70s. We may be dodging a few raindrops or rumbles of thunder by Wednesday. I'm staff meteorologist Sally Russell, KMBZ Weather.
Right now, 60 degrees at KCI, 63 downtown, 60 at your official weather station. I'm Rob Ladd. Stay connected with 98.1 FM KMBZ and KMBZ.com.
And we're back. Nice day out there. Oh, man. I love the fall. You're listening to the Home Improvement Hour with Dick Ray, the Master Plumber. We're going to take calls here, and all the lines are lit up. So your next opportunity to join us will be when we hang up with our next caller here. And let's start with David. Hello, David. What can I do for you?
Well, I tried calling late last time you were on, but I got a thing in the mail from our water department here in Overland Park that says that they have a company that it's kind of like an insurance, so $50 a year. They'll provide backhoe service up to $2,000 worth if you need it. And
for what? For water line?
Like water lines and sewer lines, I believe.
Both? Now that's a new one. I've heard of insurance on your water line. That's a big one that's going around right now. And
it could be just water line.
Yeah, I think it probably is. And it kind of puzzles me that these are endorsed by the mayor's signature's right on the letter a lot of times from what I've heard. I've never actually seen one of the letters myself, but basically the city is recommending insurance on your water line, and the idea is that if your water line springs a leak, then the insurance will cover expenses up to a couple of $1,000s, which, by the way, that's probably not even close to enough money to pay for an average water line. So you're wondering, hey, is this a good deal or not? And I guess the first question I should ask you is, how old is your house? That'll tell me what kind of water line you probably have.
Well, it's got a 3/4 copper line running into the house. I don't know. Let's see. It's
okay. Well, okay. Okay. Well, I don't need to know anything else. If you have a 3/4 inch copper water line, which is the underground service line between the meter and your house, your chances of having a problem with that copper line, you got a better chance of getting struck by lightning than of having a problem with that water line. Copper pipe does not corrode in this part of the country in contact with the ground. I guess there are parts of the country where there's acid in the soils, and that's not necessarily so. But the problems with copper water service lines into a house are just almost non-existent. We've had a few this year because of the extreme dry weather conditions. The ground shrunk and broke a water line. But ordinarily, that's just a non-existent problem. So my advice to you is save your money. Now, if you lived in a house that was built in the 50s or 40s or before, and you had an old steel water line that's 60, 70 years old, all you'd have to do is breathe on that line and it might break. It's made out of old steel pipe, been in the ground for 70 years. It's been rusting. Now that insurance might look like a pretty good deal, but they probably wouldn't offer you the insurance if you had a line like that, or if they did, it'd be a lot more expensive. So anyway, that's my thought on it.
Well, I completely agree. I just wanted it confirmed by an expert.
Okay.
And then I used a 2.5-inch toilet brush to clean out my shower drain after I heard it on your program, and it got rid of the smell in the shower.
Good. I hope that other caller's listening. And I'm glad to get feedback too. I give people advice, and sometimes they call me back and say, "Yeah, Dick, that worked great," and I'm glad to hear you say that it worked perfect on yours. That's good to know.
Then 5 years ago, I had a phone company bore through my sewer line, and it was well over $1,500 worth of work, and it took forever to go through their insurance company and to get it all fixed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, those big companies, it takes forever to get reimbursed. Getting it fixed, this lady that we work for, we got it fixed quickly. Now, getting the reimbursement, that may take 2 or 3 months, but hey, who cares? We're talking thousands of dollars to do work like this, and the good thing is that, it may take a while and a few phone calls. She told me she had to make 6 phone calls before she got a hold of the right person. But,
I see.
That's just normal with big business. But she's going to get reimbursed, and they bore through sewers all the time. They don't know where they are. They bore the phone cable through. They bore right through a sewer pipe, and then and then problems start happening with the sewer. Anyway,
Well,
we've dug up a number of them.
I really appreciate your program.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Good luck, and don't buy that insurance. Save your money.
Okay, I wasn't going to until I talked to you.
Okie doke. Appreciate the
Thanks.
call, David. Bye-bye. All righty. That opens the line. If you'd like to join us, 576-7798. And let's talk to, is it Jeannie here? Is it Jeannie, if I got that name right? Janae in Cleveland? Are you there?
Yes, hi.
Oh, okay. How do you pronounce your name?
Janae.
Janae. Okay. He had it on here right.
Okay.
What can I do for you?
Well, for about 3 months, we've been having a problem with our kitchen sink backing up a little bit when we use a lot of water in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the weird thing is that it drains with the dishwasher. So
Okay.
we've been battling it and found out that possibly could be a venting issue. So my husband took care of one up in the attic and then a valve thing in the basement. And it hasn't helped the problem.
Now, you say this is the kitchen sink that is backing up, and you said a little bit, so...
yeah, about less than a fourth, on both sides when we've used it a lot.
Okay, so the water backs up to where the sink is maybe a fourth full of water?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when we run the dishwasher, it actually will drain everything.
Oh, really? Now, that's the confusing part, because they're both tied into the same drain ordinarily, usually.
I know, and we thought that, it wouldn't have anywhere to go, so the dishwasher would be backing up too. But that's not the case. It actually pushes it on through. Well, my husband took care of the venting things, thinking maybe the pressure,
that's not going to be the problem. A vent causes lots of problems. Don't get me wrong. A vent's very important, but it's not going to have anything to do with water backing up in the drain. Water backing up in the drain just means, it always means one thing, and that is a blockage in the pipe. Now, it backs up in both sides of the kitchen sink, so that means that it's not the individual branch that goes just to one side of the kitchen sink. It means that it is the pipe that is common to both sides of the kitchen sink, which means it's probably in that vertical pipe, either the vertical pipe that goes inside of the wall down into the basement, although that vertical pipes don't get plugged up very often because they're vertical. And so more likely than not, the problem is in the horizontal part of that drain underneath the basement floor. Well, if there is a clean out in the basement, basically what you're going to want to do is run a cable through the line. And you can do it underneath the kitchen sink. I don't like doing that because it makes a mess. If there's a clean out down in the basement, remove that clean out plug and run your cable down there. But it's just a blockage in the pipe, not a vent problem.
Well, we tried to do that. We did it from the, under the sink.
Yeah.
And still had the problem. But about a week ago, I was mowing in an area that we hadn't mowed all summer, and it was on the slope where our sewer line exits something called a grinder pump. And it's about 30 feet from the grinder pump, but it's where it meets into the drain, the main drain. And it was just soaked and stunk, and it's up high on this slope.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, could there be, and this is about the same time, well, we had a excavator come out, and I'm wondering, a mini excavator, and he unloaded right there, and I'm wondering if he could have possibly crushed the pipe, because this is about the same time we started having that problem.
Yeah. Anything is possible. I see on the screen here, it says you live in Cleveland, Missouri. Is that right? So I love living in the country. Actually, I live in Lewisburg, not too far from you, and love it out there. But one thing I have learned, I mean, ordinarily, the answer to the question you just asked me, could it be the mini excavator causing the problem with the kitchen sink? Ordinarily, the problem is no. Because the pipe from a kitchen sink always goes down, ties into the main line underneath the basement floor, and the kitchen sink line does not run outside of the house by itself. And so if the kitchen sink's the only thing that's affected, it doesn't affect the sewer or anything else in the house. No, that's not it. But in rural areas, there's a lot of things going on sometimes that don't meet code and are very unusual. And so maybe, if your kitchen sink goes outside by itself and doesn't go down underneath the basement floor and tie into another line there, then I guess that's a possibility. Now, that's going to be a matter of going down into the basement and seeing where that pipe from the kitchen sink goes and so on.
It doesn't. It all, but we have some. It all goes to a grinder pump, which is an assisting thing that pumps it onto the the city sewer or whatever.
Okay. Well, okay. Then I'm back to saying no. The mini excavator. I mean, the mini excavator may have caused a problem, and it may have broken the pipe from the grinder pump. But the problem, well, golly, it just depends on how it's piped. But the grinder pump is going to take care of, generally there's a grinder pump if there is a bathroom in the basement and a toilet down there. Is that the case at your house?
No, they require them for this rural subdivision.
Oh, really?
Out there, it's some type of an assisting. It just gives it some extra.
Oh, okay.
Help.
So that grinder pump pumps everything in the house, the toilets, kitchen sink. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still going to say, don't get me wrong. The mini excavator may have broken the pipe from the grinder pump, and you're seeing that water outside. And and so I'm not saying that there is no problem that exists out there, but that's not going to cause. That's not going to be the cause of water backing up in the kitchen sink, or almost no chance of it.
Would it be just a small, some type of blockage that the pressure from the dishwasher actually helps that drain?
I'd have to see where the dishwasher drain is tied in, but on 99% of the houses, the dishwasher drain is tied right into the neck of the garbage disposal, and so it goes exactly the same place. And so no, why the dishwasher doesn't back up? Maybe it just doesn't put out enough water. I don't know.
The only way that we can get it to drain is to run the dishwasher, and when it gets to the draining cycle, then it just pulls everything out of the front.
See, the dishwasher doesn't pressurize the drain, though. The water's coming out at high velocity, but it just goes into the neck of the disposal. It doesn't pressurize the drain. It just goes into the throat of the disposal. I still think your problem, you may have a problem with the grinder pump. That needs to be dug up and investigated, I guess, see what that sewage water out in the yard is. But I still am saying the solution to your kitchen sink problem is run a cable through the line. And one thing that people don't think about, just running a cable through the line won't cure the problem. At the same time you run the cable, you've got to figure out a way to run a lot of water at the same time. The cable breaks up the blockage and sludge and so on, but it takes water to push that sludge on down the line.
Okay.
So maybe that's a problem there. Just figure out a way to get water running down that drain line same time you're running the cable.
Okay.
Okie doke.
All right. Thank you.
You betcha. Bye-bye. Alrighty, that opens the line. If you'd like to join us, 576-7798. It's often difficult to get an open line during this show. Certainly today, the phone lines have been extremely busy. And with that in mind, I'm going to say same thing I say every week at this point during the show. And really what I'm doing is giving you an invitation to call me anytime you want to, anytime during the week, not just during this show. If you need a little free advice on a project you're working on, you don't need to wait for the show, which is only 1 hour a week. You call me anytime you want to, and you don't need to feel like you're imposing on me. That's not the way I look at it. You can call me after 5 o'clock at night. You can call me on Saturday. You can call me on Sunday. You can call me right after this show if you weren't able to get in today. And I really don't mind, and I'm serious about that. Now, in all honesty, a lot of the calls that I do get are from somebody that just wants me to come out and do the work for them or take care of the problem. And, of course, I like that because, after all, that's how I make my living. But a lot of people, I think, just don't have the time, or they don't want to mess around with whatever the problem is, and so they'll call me to do the work, and yeah, I like that. But I'm really being completely sincere when I say that I absolutely don't mind you calling, even if all you need is a little free advice so you can fix it yourself, advice on some do-it-yourself project that you're working on yourself. And I'm very easy to get in touch with because my normal business phone rings straight to my cell phone after normal business hours. So really all you have to do is remember one number. That's my normal business number. You'll get me during the day with that number, or if it's after hours, it's forwarded to my cell phone. I'm going to give it to you here so you can jot it down for future reference. And the number is 913-888-0550. I make this offer in all sincerity. Do not hesitate to call. A lot of people that call me will say, "Hey, Dick, I'm sorry to bother you, and I know it's after 5 o'clock." Well, don't feel that way. You don't need to. That's not the way I look at it, and I'll do my best to help you out. And I give out a lot of free advice and information to a lot of people, and I do it completely willingly. So once again, the number, 913-888-0550. And with that, we're going to get back to the phone lines, and we will start with Andy. Hi, Andy. What can I do for you?
Hey, Dick. Hey, I appreciate you showing what you do for people.
Well, thank you.
I've got an upstairs bathroom that the toilet, I call it a slow flush. If you hit the flush lever and just release it, the water spins but then stops and doesn't do anything. But if you hold the flush lever down, it spins for quite a while, and then it goes down.
Okay.
What do you think's going on?
Oh, I'll tell you, so it's just some general information, things to check. Some of this you may have already checked. I don't know. The first thing I would check is the level of the water in the toilet tank. It should be up probably within a half inch or so of the point where it's going to start flowing over the overflow. If the water level is lower than that, then adjust it so that there's more water in the tank. You got to have a full tank to get a good flush, and if you don't, you're going to get a poor flush.
Okay.
And how old is the toilet? That's another question I need to ask you.
Probably about 15, maybe 20 years.
15 or 20 years old. Another possibility then, as a toilet gets older, it will start building up lime deposits in the main jet of the toilet. Every toilet has a main jet. That is a place where water comes out at high velocity, and that's what actually gets the water moving and siphoning out of the toilet. And as that jet gets plugged up over the years with calcium and lime deposits, then the toilet gets, the flush gets to where it's just kind of a sluggish flush. That's something that's easy to fix. There's a product called CalciSolve. That's one thing that you're probably going to have to get from a plumber like me. I don't think hardware stores have that. It's kind of it's a very, very strong acid, and maybe that's why the hardware stores don't have it. But anyway, it will eat up the lime deposits in the toilet. You dump a cup or two, probably 2 cups into the water in the bowl of the toilet, and it will dissolve the lime deposits. And if the problem was buildup of lime in the main jet, it'll absolutely cure the problem. Another possibility is that there's something lodged in the trapway of the toilet, and if so, a plunger, a toilet plunger, or maybe a toilet auger, a cable made specially for toilets run through the toilet, that may fix the problem. And last possible resort is pull the toilet up and look up inside of the trapway with a mirror and see what you can find that way. That makes sense?
It does. The one thought I had that you didn't mention, could the cable to my flapper, the little chain that runs down to the flapper, is it too long and is the flapper just not staying open?
Well, yeah, possibly, but if that's the case, I mean, if the chain's too long, then it won't lift the flapper up high enough to break the suction created by the water exiting the bottom of the tank. And as soon as you release the trip lever, the flapper gets sucked right back to where it's closing the hole. But I mean, you can generally tell that because the flush is so short, and you can tell that by observing the take the lid off the tank and observe and see what's going on. What you want to see when you trip the lever is you want to see the flapper come up and float on the surface of the water. And that's another possibility too. If the rubber in the flapper is really old and it's lost its air cavity, maybe it's just not floating on the surface of the water, so you don't get enough water exiting the bowl. And that would be cured by just putting a new flapper in that didn't have rotted rubber. But,
okay, if that doesn't work and I want to go the acid way next, probably, how do I come to your place to get that?
Yeah, we keep that in our parts area.
Okay, thank you very much. Hey, what's your address there?
The address is 11306 West 89th Street, and that's in Overland Park.
Okay, thank you very
about
much.
87th and I-35.
I appreciate what you do, sir.
Thank you. Alrighty, let's see here. Golly, running out of time. Let's see. Let's go to Linda. Linda's next. Hi, Linda. What can I do for you?
Thank you for taking my call. I'm switching out my kitchen sink, and right now my garbage disposal is on the left-hand side of a divided sink.
Yeah.
The sinks I've been looking at, all the disposals seem to be on the right-hand side.
Okay.
Well, I had a question to one of the salespeople was, can the garbage disposal be mounted to the right-hand side without there creating a problem? And he said, oh, yes, not a problem, but
That's what salespeople always say, isn't it?
That's what I was afraid of.
Well, in this case, you can believe him. I shouldn't say this. I'm a salesperson myself, but yeah, he's right. You can switch the garbage disposal to the other side. It's going to take a little bit of piping change, but that's not going to be a big deal, or ordinarily isn't.
I could buy a sink that garbage disposal hole there is on the right-hand side then.
Yeah. Shouldn't be a problem.
That's all I needed to know. I
appreciate
all you do for us.
Thanks, Linda.
Mm-hmm. Bye now.
All righty. Golly, I hate it when this happens. We're out of time here. Hey, Nathan and Grandview and Rick, hang on. We've run out of time here. I'll talk to you off the air if you'll just hang on the phone a little bit here. You're listening to the Home Improvement Hour with Dick Ray, the Master Plumber. We hope you learned something today. We'll be back next Sunday from 11 to noon talking about the same kind of things. And anyway, and again, if you weren't able to get in, give me like 5 or 10 minutes to get out of the studio and call me on that number I gave out earlier, which is 913-888-0550. Go find something to do outside. It's too beautiful to spoil this beautiful, or to waste this beautiful weather. See you next Sunday.